Welcome to Riggs Garage. Today we're fast tracking the Fastback for 2022. I'm under the car here, and I've got some helpers behind me. Hey, Mr. Helper.
Hello.
And we're trying to get this car on the road. So if you saw the last episode that I filmed yesterday, I got a lot accomplished off the list, and today we're going to be hitting more items on the list. So let's get right to it. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate it.
I found a geode.
You found a geode.
See?
Oh, you have it? Show me. Oh my goodness.
Can I see
Whoa.
it?
Wow.
That is actually a really...
That's a legit geode. And this is from our backyard?
Yeah.
Was it? Where'd you find it?
I just found it sitting by our
There's
swing
mica.
tree.
There's mica in there as well.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, that tree's been kicking up rocks as it expands. It kicks them up from underneath.
That's cool.
It does.
So we live in a geode mine. Yeah. Let's start the episode with an easy one. We're going to put the drive shaft in. Now, if you've seen my T5 transmission swap video, this is the stock Mustang drive shaft that came in the Mustang with the C4 transmission. However, I put this yoke on it that fits with the T5 transmission. With the T5, you need splines all the way to the end, whereas the C4 yoke was much longer and had no splines for the first couple of inches. So this fits nicely, and I've already test fitted this, and I have at least an inch of free play for the car to cycle the suspension. So it should be good. Stick it onto the car here. Uh-oh. The back! Are you serious? Thank you. I wish I had a lift. Could definitely write a blues song or two about the condition of my torque boxes. These back ones don't look nearly as cheesy as the front ones though. Need to spank some kids.
Hey Dad, could I go under there with you? Could I?
Oh, do you have a nice clothing on? See, I'm just tightening these nuts. There's 4 of them. So they're in not the best spot, so it takes a little longer. Look behind me, there's a kid. Hey. Alright, the drive shaft is now in place, so I'm going to move to the front of the car and check out the speedometer cable. Alright, here's the side of the T5 transmission. If you haven't checked out the swap videos, go ahead and have a look. This bolt was never here when I got the transmission, so I have this metric bolt from a bolt kit, and it fits fine. So checking it out, I think it bottoms out with about a 1/4 inch hanging out, so let's see if we can get it in. Now here's the factory speedometer gear and cable from the 70 Mustang, so this is already hooked up, and I'm gonna see if it fits in here. Seems like we have a fit. I'm gonna throw a washer on here too, just to make sure the spacing is good for the first time. Ooh, snapping noises. Keep going. Now I'm going to throw the exhaust under here and get some measurements for the custom pipe. Get in there, boy! Okay, I was about to mock up the exhaust, but bolting the header to the pipes actually gets right in my way of the drain plug for the transmission. So let's go ahead and pump the transmission full of transmission fluid. Now, there are 2 different kinds of transmission fluids you can use for T5s. If you have a non-world-class T5, you need to use a gear oil that I don't know because I don't have a non-world-class. I have a world-class T5, and they take like a Dexron transmission fluid instead of a heavy gear oil. So that's what I'm going to pump it up with right now. To fill the transmission up, I'm using this Dexron Mercon ATF, and I'm using this fluid transfer pump from Harbor Freight. There's an in, and there's an out. So I'm going to shove the in one of these. Directions say that T5 takes a little under 3 quarts. Once fluid starts pouring out of the fill hole here, we'll know we're full. And I see a tiny dribble. Well, we're right at pretty much 3 quarts. Let's visit the list here. Drive shaft's in, transmission is filled, speedometer cable is installed. Cool, so next we're going to hook up the exhaust and probably see what bend we need here. And then my goal is to also get starter wiring done today. Now that there's transmission fluid on the floor, let's lay in it and attach the exhaust. That's going to smell super tasty when I fire this engine up for the first time. I'm going to go ahead and hang the exhaust out back here so I can have proper alignment out front. Alright, the exhaust is hanging. However, this is a little over 1/4 inch off because this is how things go when you're just piecing stuff together. The cross member for the T5 hits right here. So that hits on the exhaust. Looks like I can probably maybe just ding it with a hammer, just like the headers. So I'll probably mess with that later. I'm going to crawl over this way and check the starter wiring. It's touching the headers. Alright, the Ford mini starter is right down there. And if you zoom in, yeah, you see this terminal right there. That's touching the header right there. So what I'm going to do is see if I can't point it the other way without arcing the other terminals. Then after that I'll show you how to wire it. Alright, there's the Ford mini starter. Here is the trigger wire, so when this gets 12 volts, it fires the starter off. So the mini starter, basically, it's got a large hot wire that's coming from the battery that powers it, and then when this receives 12 volts from a relay, it kicks the starter off. So right now I am extending this. It comes with a lead here and a crimp, and then it has heat shrink on it as well. So I'm going to put that on there and run it up, and I'll show you how the mini starter is wired. Here's the original starter that came in the car. This starter just had one big hot wire to it, and that hot wire came from this side of the starter solenoid. The starter solenoid is on the inner fender of most of these old Ford cars. So it would have hooked up right here and gone straight to the starter, and that's it. When you turn the key, this solenoid takes 12 volts from this side and shoots it down to the starter, all the voltage, all of it, time to go, start time. Now, with the Ford mini starter, it has a big hot wire. You can reuse the one from your old one if you want, but it also has a trigger wire. It's around 18 gauge or 16 gauge, I think. So I crimped that to the starter solenoid down there on the starter. That mini starter has a solenoid on it, unlike this one. So now all you need to do, you'll basically use this original solenoid as a relay. You'll take your big, hot, fat wire, and this will be constant hot now. It'll go to the battery side of the solenoid, so you have constant hot down there, okay? And then you'll take what I call the trigger wire, and it will go to the key only side. When you turn the key, this gets 12 volts and shoots it down to the solenoid. When the solenoid on the mini starter gets the 12 volt signal, it'll go. Then once you turn the key off the start position, this will close and it acts as a relay to start your car. So this should work for any Ford that has this type of starter solenoid layout. And here's a demonstration. This is the trigger wire to the mini starter. I'm going to get hot to it. We have heat shrink and crimping success. Now this trigger wire, just go on this side of the solenoid. But first, I need to go jump the neutral safety wiring for the automatic transmission, so it will start with a manual transmission and no switch on the transmission. So on your wiring harness, you have this connector here. This went down to the C4 Ford transmission. There are 4 pins in here. You need to jump 2 of them. I forgot which ones, so my son and I are going to experiment now. When you have the correct ones jumped, turning the key will activate the solenoid right over there. You'll hear it click, you'll know you got the right ones. So let's do that. Got my helper here. Alright, Noah, can you crank the key?
All the way?
Yep.
Here, right?
Ah!
What? Holy cow! Again?
Yeah.
You're right behind me.
So turn it on and then off. Okay, perfect. Do it again. Ah! Oh, okay. Thanks for helping. Now we know which terminals. So looking at this, it is the two left terminals. So there's a male and a female. So I need to make a jumper to stay in there and jump these correctly because I don't have the pigtail because I sold it with the C4 transmission. Unfortunately, should have lopped it off. So the starter wiring is done. I figured out which wires to bypass. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to snip those two red wires and solder them together. So I have solder safety bypass on the list now. I need to go open up a soldering kit and find stuff for that, so that'll be in the near future. And I noticed the rear end has been leaking oil for 2 years, and I assume it has none left, so I need to top it off, and I'll fix that leak later once I get on the road.
Now when I get in the car and turn the key, I get this.
Did you hear that? This thing just needs a little bit of spark and some fuel, and it's going to run. It's not going to have exhaust. I'm going to double check and make sure nothing's behind the headers, but I'm just going to start it with open headers. But now I'm going to get ready for the New Year's Eve party. I'll actually have to shower and other civilized type things. I got everything done on the list pretty much, except for the exhaust. I might have to hit that with a hammer, so I'm going to do that later. And modifying the exhaust to fit the shorty header on the driver's side. But anyway, outside of exhaust, I'm going to start doing stuff to get this ready to drive. Get the shifter adjusted and then get brakes rolling. But I think we're ready for a test fire, so hopefully I can do that later this weekend and share that fun time with you guys. Hopefully this engine runs nicely, has oil pressure, stays cool, doesn't leak junk everywhere, and doesn't make any weird rattles. I did put it together with a bunch of used parts, so we'll see what happens. I measured tolerances, so I expect good things. Keep your fingers crossed, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.